Have you guys ever thought about how the future of the world will turn out and ever have any dreams specifically on how the world will look like in the future? Maybe you have dreams of flying cars like the Jetsons. Maybe you guys are like me and you guys want some Nike Air Mags that can automatically tie your laces for you without ever having to actually tie them. That is up there on my wish list for the future, definitely. I would for sure rock some Nike Air Mags. Maybe you guys just want a fair and equal world where everybody can earn the same amount of money and everybody will actually have a chance to be somewhat successful in life instead of people being born on third base and looking down on peasants thinking that they own the world simply because they were born rich. You guys want to know what my perfect future is and what my dream to have a good future is? Video game publishers in these corpo suits will stop killing our games and stop ripping us off and stop taking our money and then stealing our games that we bought and paid for. I envision a world where if you buy a game, you fucking own it for the rest of your life. But somehow, some way in the year of 2025, this is a concept that these corpo cyberpunk suits in these fucking video game publishing offices and studios simply just cannot fathom, grasp, or just outright ignore it altogether. Let's be real here. And I spoke about this plenty of times before in the past, especially regarding the crew, and I made, I believe, 3 videos. It might have been 2. But I specifically remember I made one video regarding Ubisoft killing the crew outright before I could even get a chance to play it, mind you, because I had plans on playing the crew here on the channel. And then a follow-up video where a struggle rapper tried to gaslight me into thinking that it's okay for them to kill games that people pay for. And specifically in those videos, I brought up a new initiative at the time that was being made by a YouTuber by Accursed Farms that is called Stop Killing Games. Now, what is Stop Killing Games, you ask? Basically, in the long or the short of it, Stop Killing Games is a consumer movement started to challenge the legality of publishers destroying video games they have already sold to customers. And in more common sense terms, you buy a game and pay $60, $70, or now $80, no thanks to fucking Nintendo and fucking Call of Duty and Activision, but I digress. You buy a game, then 2 or 3 years later, it may even be within a week, they can outright take away the game from you and completely shut it down and not offer a refund just because the game was either A, unprofitable, B, they didn't feel like obtaining the servers and keeping the servers up for these games over the lifespan, or C, because they're too lazy enough to implement an offline patch so you can enjoy the games that you pay for. Now, at the time of me recording those videos on the aforementioned with Ubisoft killing the crew, the Stop Killing Games movement garnered roughly around anywhere from 200,000 to about 400,000 signatures. But at the time of this recording, they have well surpassed 1.3 million signatures in the EU. Now, what does that mean, you might ask? Well, that means that if any petition in the EU and in Europe gains 1 million signatures in total, regardless of however long the petition has been up for, it legally has to be presented to the board parliament of the EU and has to be brought up in the courts to actually make a law out of it. Now, the only bad news is because this petition is only in Europe or in the EU in general, and that's, I believe, where Accursed Farms actually resides in. But the good news is because now that this subscription has garnished well over their initial goal of 1 million signatures, and it's going to be presented to the Parliament of the EU, this is the stepping stone to making the gaming industry like a better space for not only the consumers but everybody involved, including the developers who work and slave on these games but then have the rug pulled from their project and their legacy will be forgotten about. If this petition was made in America, there would have definitely been at least 20 million signatures, because I'm going to be honest with you, people are fed up. We are not having it in the gaming industry anymore, and for good reason. And one reason in particular is because these gaming publishers in these corpo suits genuinely cannot understand why it is so detrimentally important to have games be accessible to us after we paid for them if they decide to shut the servers down. Because most of these games these days aren't even fully on the disc. So meaning you might install maybe, I don't know, 10 gigs, 20 gigs, 30 gigs at most on a disc if you paid money for a physical copy, and then you have to download the rest from the PlayStation Store or Steam. Then, after that, you gotta install a day one patch. And most of the time, it has some type of DRM in it, so you have to connect to a server in order to play a single player game, which makes no sense. Rockstar Games and their Rockstar launcher with GTA 5, GTA 4, Red Dead Redemption 2, and Red Dead Redemption and the GTA trilogy is a really good, perfect example of what I'm about to talk about next. Because let's say if you're on PC and you buy Red Dead Redemption 2 on Steam, then, when you fully install the game from Steam, then it takes you to the doggone Rockstar launcher, and then you have to download the rest. And then when you go to play the game, which is a single player game, because honestly, it's still, the multiplayer is still up, by the way, but it's not supported. So if you just want to play the single player, you still have to connect to the Rockstar game launcher servers in order to play the game that you want, or play the single player game that you want. But then, here's the kicker. Let's say, for example, the Rockstar Games launcher goes offline for server maintenance, or it just goes down outright because some hackers decide to be funny one day and decide to shut down the whole entire servers for Rockstar, or DDoS the servers for a whole entire weekend. Then you can't play the game without either A, finding a bypass mod to outright play the game that you paid for, mind you, or B, you can just do the right thing, quote unquote, I'm using that very loosely, and just wait for the servers to come back up. But there's no guarantee or estimate on when the servers will go back up if it was to go down in such fashion. Same conundrum applies with The Crew. The Crew is originally a single player game, but for whatever which reason, they made it an always online game, meaning that you always have to connect to a server. And then when they inevitably shut down the servers for that game, guess what? The game doesn't work. And then not only that, they also delist the game and then force you or incentivize you to install or buy the newer versions like the Crew 2 or the Crew Motorfest. I don't know why anybody would purchase such games when Forza Horizon is out there and is clearly better than the Crew ever will be. They don't even have the common sense decency, or much less the respect for their customers and their fans, to even implement an offline patch for the game that we paid for, so we can go back and relive the game and preserve it for the future. Oh yeah, and they won't even offer refunds too. So basically, they just outright took away your game, delisted it, and then stole your money in the process. But to me, it seems like that there is people just out there that just genuinely just is so corpo loved and so corpo hypnotized that they genuinely don't understand how important it is to actually own media that we paid for. And the main reason why I'm making this video to even begin with is because a YouTuber and streamer by the name of PirateSoftware is just genuinely not understanding and comprehending the grasp on the subject or the whole entire point of the Stop Killing Games movement. And in his words, this is his words, not mine, that he basically wants every single live service game, or we want every single live service game to have a single player mode so we can go back and play them whenever we want. No, we simply want games that we paid money for, that we dropped microtransaction money for, if we bought battle passes for, if we bought DLC for, to be supported and at least be playable for however long, or at least forever, so we actually don't feel like we're ripped off in any which way of the word ripped off. Because the simple fact of the matter is that every single publisher is now starting to consider the idea of cutting off games and completely delisting them and not offering refunds for games that we paid for is absolutely diabolical and absolutely despicable. Other YouTubers like Charlie, other YouTubers like Mudahar, and everybody else have made videos probably better than I probably ever will. But the long and the short of it, they pretty much exposed PirateSoftware for not grasping the concept or the whole entire point of the Stop Killing Games movement. And in my eyes, PirateSoftware is purposely trying to deter people from signing the petition and trying to derail the movement on purpose. And it's not even like he's doing it on accident or it's just blissful ignorance. He's doing this like deliberately in my eyes.
Yeah, Hutcher, I did. I think it's really hilarious to me that that entire community is so butt mad at me for putting out a video 10 months ago about their stuff. and then not being refuted, and now it's my fault that everything is going wrong for them.
I cannot believe his ego. His ego is so out of control, I feel like he's only a week or two away from exclusively referring to himself in third person, like stone cold fucking Steve Austin. And that's the truth, because PirateSoftware said so. Some shit like that. It's crazy.
It's shit. Not only do I not want to back this, I'm going to actively tell people not to. That is awful. That is a horrible goddamn direction. That's awful, dude. Now, eat my entire ass. The level of stupid that I just had to receive was like sitting on Twitter for 12 hours. This shit sucks. That's a really stupid-ass move. That's an incredibly stupid-ass move. I think this is ass. This is complete garbage. All of this can eat shit, then. I drop the mask entirely. I have no qualms about that. They can eat my entire ass. The whole thing. That sounds stupid as shit.
Yeah, I'm sure it's Ross and his community that are actually the assholes here. Brother, come on, you can't possibly be calling the wambulance with a side of french fries here about people being mean to you when you are literally the one that started the shit-flinging and name-calling. And by the way, Ross never even addressed this for 10 months because he didn't want to dilute the initiative into just having it be boiled down to drama between creators, which I think was actually very big of him. The only reason he's talking about it now is because it's at the end of its life and so many people still don't understand it because of someone like PirateSoftware misrepresenting it. So he's finally setting the record straight there. Anyway, he did delete that tweet, but just a little while ago, he made a new tweet, a very long tweet, as well as a series of tweets under it in regards to this whole thing. And in all these words, all this mumbo-jumbo, not once does he say he was wrong about anything. In fact, he just continues to double down, even proudly stating he is doubling down. Wow, how incredibly noble, doubling down on things you are provably, blatantly wrong about.
This video came out right as we were building momentum. Then, except for one boost in Germany, the signatures started drying up like clockwork. Thor does not understand what Stop Killing Games is. Here it is in his words.
So for those who don't understand, the Stop Killing Games initiatives is basically, we don't want single-player games to have DRM that the developers can turn off and thus render the single-player games inactive anymore. This is what they want to change. They need to be specific that they're talking about single-player games that do not need a server to support them.
No.
And as much as they want it to be about specifically games where it is a single-player game that has always online functionality, it would impact every live service game that exists. Instead of just targeting single-player, always online games.
No, that's not what it is. Stop Killing Games includes single-player games, but nothing about it is specific to them. He completely made that up, and I have no idea where he got that impression. It's the first line on the website. Stop Killing Games is a consumer movement started to challenge the legality of publishers destroying video games they have sold to customers. But the movement includes all this stuff from earlier, and he was mostly talking about the initiative.
He didn't even get the Cliff Notes summary right. He missed all the QTEs and got the bad ending on understanding the initiative from the jump here.
Imagine the day that World of Warcraft shuts
Single player. Could continue running them without their support. So that's one thing Thor doesn't understand, but he also seems to think this is about converting multiplayer games to single player.
Transitioning an entire multiplayer server-side game into a single-player video game, which means rebalancing the entire experience around single-player, rebuilding everything in the entire game. How are you going to do that with Final Fantasy XIV? You're just going to make all the raids soloable? Imagine the day that World of Warcraft shuts down, and suddenly you have to make it a single-player game for every individual that ever bought the game. That's what they're asking for.
No.
Because they would have to sunset live service games as a single-player experience. The idea that suddenly you need to make every single live service game playable single-player offline? No, dude.
Correct. No.
This part is more confusing than Finnegan's Wake, because nowhere in anything on Stop Killing Games has this even been like a talking point from anyone besides PirateSoftware. I don't know where he pieced this puzzle together. Like I don't get it. Like if I'm gonna try and like really reach here and give like Stop Killing Games was asking for and how unreasonable it was, which if that's what Stop Killing Games was asking for, it would be unreasonable. But that's not what it's asking for.
Nowhere in there does it say that it's directly targeting always online single-player games.
Oh, he's so close. He's so close to getting it.
It is vague, and because of that, it will impact.
He never has that light bulb moment.
Cocaine is a hell of a drug.
Because he even read what the initiative would do and would not do in big bold letters on purpose on stream and read it to his viewers, and in bold letters it said specifically that the initiative would not do is require publishers to give up intellectual property rights, so basically their IP in the game in general, to just random strangers, require publishers to give up the source code, because that's also important, because if they have the source code for games, all hell will break loose with modders and cheaters. And this is the important one, is require endless support. We don't want endless support for games that we paid for. We simply want to simply own the game, regardless if we got it digitally or physically, forever until the game, until we die, until the day we die. If they want to shut down the servers for the game, so be it. But then let us have the game, play the game, let us have our own community servers for the game, because people will do that, because people do that with Black Ops 2 and other beloved old games in the past, right? And then everybody will be happy. But no, the industry doesn't want to do that for whatever reason, because they want us to buy their new slop that they simply want just so they can please shareholders, and CEOs like Strauss bitch-ass Zelnick can go out and buy a new Corvette ZR1X tomorrow just because they can. By the way, the Corvette ZR1X, if I had $250,000 just lying around, I would for sure buy one of these, because I mean, this thing is like 1,300 horsepower, twin turbo, LT7 Chevy engine, and it's all-wheel drive with a 0 to 60 in under 2 seconds. Oh my, I would for sure buy one of these, bro. Fuck a lamb chop, fuck a Ferrari, fuck a McLaren. I would take a C8 ZR1X any day of the week. I am getting off topic again, aren't I? Goddamn. This is why I gotta make scripts for my video. And I can't emphasize enough how important it is for us to own our media, especially our video games that we're paying upwards of $80 standard for in today's economy. And these mid-ass games that's coming out these days, and then you mean to tell me that they can just pretty much take it away from us just because they don't either A, don't want to keep the servers up for the game, or B, it isn't profitable anymore. I can't emphasize enough how disrespectful it is to not only your customers, your fan base, but also the people that worked on this game to outright shut it down just because you think in your right mind that it's not profitable anymore, or you just want to outright sell people new garbage slop for $80 in this new doggone AAA space, quote unquote, just because you want hourly bonuses, just because you want a super yacht, just because you want a Ferrari or a Bugatti, just because you want to please shareholders. Imagine saving up your hard-earned money. You slave like your hourly job at McDonald's, you slave all these extra shifts, you slave all these extra hours overtime so you can buy a Dodge Charger SRT Hellcat Red-Eye wide body, and then when you get it, you're having a good time, you blasted some young boy or some Chief Keef in your car, then all of a sudden an update comes in your car, shuts the car down, kill switches it by itself, and then the repo man comes, even though your car is paid for, take it away from you, and then they scrap it at the doggone junkyard and not even give your money back to you. All because they want you to buy the newest garbage ass EV that they putting out and expect you to pay even more money than what you paid for your Hellcat for, and expect you to be happy for it. And then guess what? When that fails and inevitably crashes, fails, and bombs, guess what? They kill off that car and that model even faster, take away your money again, and then repossess it and then junk it and then file it as a tax revenue loss to the IRS, and they don't have to pay a damn thing back. There would have never been a more appropriate time to go full Johnny Silverhand, grab a nuke, and just completely storm the headquarters and completely wipe it off the map if that day would have ever happened. The gaming industry as a whole at this juncture has become nothing short of a cancer, because ranging from taking away people's games and completely killing off games just because you don't see it as profitable anymore, between the egregious microtransaction epidemic that's going on in the gaming industry, outright completely overpricing games just because you want some extra quarterly earnings for your mid-ass games, don't make a lick of sense to me in the absolute slightest. But then again, if you have a Red Sea crab in the suits that's running these companies these days, then it's no wonder why these doggone companies in the gaming industry as a whole is as bad as it is to this very day. Oh, and I nearly forgot, companies like Activision, Blizzard, Ubisoft, and even EA2 have already broken a EU commission law against unfair terms and agreement. Meaning, if they actually make a terms and service agreement contract that we all have to agree to in order to play these games anyways, and it's deemed unfit or unfair, guess what? They broke the law. So why aren't they being penalized? Which goes to emphasize my point on where the fuck is the FBI or the IRS or the Better Business Bureau when you need them? Because it's clearly evident that whatever's going on in the industry today is nothing short of illegal. And it's either A, they don't care, or B, they're getting paid off, or they're just looking the other way. Because you cannot tell me with a straight face that these corpos and these gaming publisher studios that make these doggone bullshit ass games and then take away our games that we paid for is actively getting away with the law, and it's legal in their eyes. Just because they actually make a terms and a service agreement that we actually have to sign in order to play the game does not make it valid for them to take away our game that we paid money for. This industry has become nothing short of a corpo fucking wet dream. It really has. And this movement with Stop Killing Games is honestly our only hope for a better future. Because I'll tell you like this much. After playing Cyberpunk 2077, we are not too far from that whole entire dystopian world, where after Johnny Silverhand tries to bomb our Arasaka Tower and try to wipe them clean off the map. We are not that far off from every single developer, every single publisher, every single corporation in America and in the world charging us for every single facet of our lives. And I am hoping like utter hell that they make a law out of this, and not only the EU, but it also gets recognized worldwide, and they start making laws against these publishers to stop killing games and stop stealing games that we paid for. Because what's going on in this gaming industry is absolutely nothing short of illegal. But then again, the IRS don't get involved. They don't give a damn as long as they getting they cut like under the table. The Better Business Bureau, they just don't give a fuck. The FBI, they damn for sure don't care unless it's some rapper that they want to charge for a RICO charge. You don't ever see the FBI go after corporations for racketeering or go against better business practices in 2025. You don't hear that not one bit. But they always going after a rapper, aren't they? In my closing remarks, Stop Killing Games is an initiative that should have happened a long time ago. And honestly, I am so glad that it's at the stage now where it can honestly make the gaming industry a better place for everybody. And I genuinely mean that. Because these corpos in this gaming industry have been getting away with far too much bullshit in places that they shouldn't even be getting away with bullshit. But at the end of the day, this is something that's going to keep them in line. Because paying $70, almost $80 for a video game disc that doesn't work anymore by default is absolutely cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. This movement will bring society back to where it should be, and it will bring humanity back in the gaming industry and make the gaming industry tighten up. That's all I'm simply saying. So let me know what you guys are thinking down in the comments down below. I've been meaning to make a video updating y'all on the Stop Killing Games movement for quite a while now, and I actually have an excuse to. So with that being said, y'all, let me know what y'all think about this video down in the comments down below. This is your boy Gwop. Make sure you guys like and subscribe if you guys are new. If you guys are in the EU, or anybody that's watching from the EU and haven't signed the petition yet, go and sign it so we can finally make the AAA gaming landscape great again. And I'm out, bruh. Deuces.